We have to talk about evolution, because one of the things that Tucker Carlson said on the podcast was essentially that you can't really prove evolution. It's not real. He doesn't believe in evolution as it's taught.
Yep.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I went back and listened to it.
What did he exactly say?
He said a couple things. It was a little confusing. He said that, we see evidence of adaptation, but we don't see evidence of evolution, and that we've really gotten beyond the Darwinian model. We've essentially come to understand that it's not right.
Is this essentially an argument for creationism?
It's an argument for
intelligent
design.
Okay.
I think. First of all, I want to clean up a little bit of what he said just so it's interpretable.
Okay.
I don't really think he means we see the evidence for adaptation but not evolution. That's not coherent. I think what he means is we see evidence for what we would call microevolution, but we don't see evidence for what we would call macroevolution. This is a commonly believed thing in intelligent design circles. And so microevolution, we would talk about the way a creature or a population of creatures would change relative to their environment. If the environment gets drier, those individuals who are more drought tolerant will outcompete the individuals that require more water, and so we'll see the population change over time. But he's saying we don't see evidence for macroevolution, which is the production of new species from old species.
A monkey becoming a person.
Yeah, we don't see big changes like that. Now, I don't want to bore your audience. I am concerned that the right way to address Tucker's challenge, and I, as I said the last time I was on your show, when I heard him say it the first time, I reached out to him and I said, you really ought to let me talk to you about what's actually going on here, and he welcomed it. We still haven't sat down to do it, but nonetheless, he's open to hearing that he doesn't have it right, to his credit. But here's the problem. The correct response to Tucker, I do not believe, involves what most people want me to do in response to something like what Tucker has said.
What do you think that is? What do you think most people want?
I think people want the career evolutionary biologist to break out a bunch of examples from nature that make the case very, very clear so that they can relax. Tucker's concern isn't based in science, and they can go back to feeling comfortable that, the Darwinists have it well in hand. That's not where I am. I could do that, but I don't feel honorable doing that. I think as a scientist, I should not be in the business of persuading people. I want you to be persuaded. I want you to be persuaded by the facts. I want them to persuade you, but I don't think I'm allowed to persuade you. I think that it's effectively PR when I attempt to bring people over to Team Darwin. Further, as I'm sure I've mentioned to you before, I'm not happy with the state of Darwinism as it has been managed by modern Darwinists. In fact, I'm kind of annoyed by it. And although Tucker, I do not believe, is right in the end, there is a reason that the perspective that he was giving voice to is catching on in 2025. And it has to do with the fact that, in my opinion, the mainstream Darwinists are telling a kind of lie about how much we know and what remains to be understood. So by reporting that, yes, Darwinism is true, and we know how it works, and people who aren't compelled by the story are illiterate or ignorant or whatever, they are pretending to know more than they do. So, all that being said, let me say, I think modern Darwinism is broken. Yes, I do think I know more or less how to fix it. I'm annoyed at my colleagues for I think, lying to themselves about the state of modern Darwinism. I think I know why that happened. I think they were concerned that a creationist worldview was always a threat, that it would reassert itself, and so they pretended that Darwinism was a more complete explanation as it was presented than it ever was.
What is wrong with Darwinism? Like, what do you think that Darwinism is doing itself a disservice by saying?
There are several different things that are wrong with it. The key one that I think is causing folks in intelligent design circles to begin to catch up is that the story we tell about how it is that mutation results in morphological change is incorrect. This is a very hard thing to convey, and I want to point out that if the explanation for creatures is Darwinian, that does not depend on anybody understanding it, and it does not depend on anybody being able to phrase it in a way that it's intuitive. Okay? I think I could probably do a decent job on those fronts, but if you happened onto the Earth 100 million years ago, you would have found lots of animals running around, lots of plants growing. You would have recognized where you were and more or less what was going on. There's not a single creature on the planet that would have any idea what an abstract thought was. There would be no creature that had any inkling that there was even a question about where all this had come from. And Darwinism would still be the answer.